Hi everyone, this is Keegan from the Troy Public Library, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Gale Opposing Viewpoints database provided by the Michigan eLibrary. But before I do, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between the internet and a database. If you've seen one of my other videos, you might be like, I've heard this all before, can we skip it? But it's really important, and there's a couple things I want to go over. So the internet is something you search with a search engine, such as Google or Yahoo, and it can give you sometimes millions of results from all over the world. But it can be really hard to know which of those results you can trust. Because anyone can make a website these days, right? And you might be like, if my teacher is telling me to use something called Opposing Viewpoints, aren't viewpoints just opinions? And yeah, viewpoints can be just opinions. But the thing is that when you're reading someone's opinion or viewpoint on the internet, it can be really hard to tell how they came up with that opinion or viewpoint. What sources did they use? How well do they really understand the issue? And that's where databases are different. Databases are a collection of curated content that has already been hand selected, and those viewpoints are provided by people who are experts in their field and can back up their opinion with sources and data. And that is why databases should always be your first choice rather than just an internet search. So, having said that, let's go ahead and get started. Now, to use many of the MEL databases, so we're going to be going to mel.org, and these resources are all provided through the Library of Michigan. And they use taxpayer funds to pay for these resources. That means if you're using them, they really want to make sure that you are a Michigan resident. So if you're using these from home, which might be different than when you're using them at school, it's generally going to ask you for proof that you live in the state of Michigan. So for instance, you won't see it because I've already logged in. When you do it from home, it's going to ask you for a driver's license number. So you might want to go ahead and ask your mom or dad for your driver's license number because you will need it to log in. But let's get started. So as I said, we're going to go to mel.org, so MEL, Michigan eLibrary. And to find Opposing Viewpoints, so Opposing Viewpoints is actually a journal subscription. So we're going to go up here to the top of the page where it says e-journals and click there. And we're going to start typing in Opposing Viewpoints. But if you are looking for other journals in the future, you can also find others by browsing by discipline. And it has some subject headings down here that you could select. Or if you know something more specific, like the title of the publication you're looking for, like Opposing Viewpoints, we can type it right up here and do a search. So here it is, Opposing Viewpoints Online Collection, and we can see that through our MEL resources, it is provided by Gale in Context, Opposing Viewpoints. We're going to go ahead and click on it. So there's a couple options we have for searching. Up here, there's this search box. But when we search this, it is going to search pretty much all of Gale products that are available. So what we want to do is go over here and use this search box instead, which is search within publication. So Earth Day was recent. So let's search for pollution. Oops. There we go, pollution. Let's do a search and see what we get. So here are our results. This is all content types, but we can limit our content by specifically viewpoints. So this is going to be a list of articles and views. There's reference. There's infographics, which might be great if you're doing a project where you need some visuals. Let's try this one and see what it looks like. So this is perceived effectiveness of various energy sources in minimizing air pollution. And it was put together in 2017. And so it gives us some really great charts and a key below. So this might be a really great thing to include on a PowerPoint presentation or a poster that you're making for school. There's also some images, and it also recommends specific websites that are good quality sources related to your topic. Now, there's some other options we have. For instance, we have 38 here, which is actually pretty manageable. But we can also sort these by relevance. Relevance being the likelihood that a particular result is related to your search term. So the ones at the bottom are less likely to be related to what you're searching for, but the ones at the top are most likely. So let's say this number 38 was a lot larger. We could be pretty confident that if we just search the first couple pages of returns, that they would be what we're looking for. Another thing to keep in mind, though, when it comes to relevance is the search terms you used. Sometimes, 38 is a pretty solid number, but some search terms might give you thousands of results, and those can be really hard to sift through. So if you have too many, you might want to consider using different search terms and limiting what your returns are going to be. A good rule of thumb is when you're doing a search to potentially write down a list of different search terms you can use, and then as you use them, cross off the ones that don't work so well, but circle the ones that give you good results. Other options are to see newest, and that might be really important if you want the most up-to-date information. The others are document title, so it's going to put it in alphabetical order, or content level. So such as Lexile level, if your teacher gives you a specification on what Lexile level you should be reading at. Over here, we have a couple other filters. Again, there's that publication date. If you wanted to look at a particular range of dates, say something really particular happened in the topic of pollution, like a certain new process was created or certain laws were passed, and you might want to see the effects of having those things passed between a certain time period. It also gives us some topic options. There's document type, viewpoint essays, all these. Publication titles, so where these are all coming from. Lexile measure, content level, and then we can also search within. There's this other really neat feature here, though, called Topic Finder. So this might be helpful if you're trying to narrow down your topic a little bit. We searched for pollution, and these are all topics related to pollution. So for instance, climate change. And you can see when I hover over it that there's some other subtopics underneath. So let's go ahead and click on that and take a look. So here's all subtopics that we might want to focus on that might give us more results. And you'll notice when I clicked on it, I got a list of other results here, and I can click on any of them because it's giving me a nice preview, and it's also telling us what topics those are listed under. So let's say, for instance, I really liked a particular one, like factory farming is an environmental hazard. I can see other topics that might be related to this that I also might want to look at. If we don't like this tile view, we can also look at a wheel view. But let's go back to our original search. So this gave us 2 pages. Each of the results tell us where it is, the date, the number of words, that it's a viewpoint essay, the Lexile level. And if we click on it, so let's say here is a global solution to the plastic waste crisis. Here in the article, it's going to give us a couple extra pieces of information. For instance, it's going to tell us what other related articles are similar to this. And it's also going to give us some related subjects here within the actual article itself. If we scroll to the bottom, it's going to give us some information on how to cite this source. So if your teacher is telling you to cite your sources using MLA or APA or Chicago, we can very easily pull that. If in school you're using Noodle Tools or EasyBib or RefWorks or Google Drive, you can also export this reference to any of those sources. Back at the top, we also have some other options up here. We can change our font size, we can translate, we can also listen. So let's wait a second for it to load.
Here is a global solution to the plastic waste crisis in 443.
So we can have this article read to us. We also have some options here for sending it to Google Drive, emailing it, downloading it. Up here, there's also an option to get a link. why would you want to use this rather than just pulling the link from your toolbar? That's a really important question. If you're using this link up here, this has your session data, and pretty much it's all the data collected from your various searches. And that means that if you send it to someone else, that link probably isn't going to work. But if you use this link here, it is more likely to be dependable when you want to go back specifically to this article, or if you want to share it with your partner on your project, or maybe you're a teacher and you want to share it with your students. You can also do highlights and notes, print and download from up here. So that's all I really have today for Opposing Viewpoints. But if you have any questions, always feel free to email me at keegan.selecki@troymi.gov, or you can always email our youth reference desk at ysref@troymi.gov. I hope you have a great day.